All right, and we're live. Welcome to the show, Kathy. My name's Cameron. Good to have you on the show. You want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit about your experience?
Yeah. Thank you, Cameron, for having me on your program. I appreciate it. I've been on quite a few programs, and it's always very delightful. So I'm glad to be here. I had a distressing near death experience 26 years ago. It came about because I had been caregiving for a very dear friend who had leukemia, and we all had to come from various parts of the United States, two caregivers and him and me, to Seattle, Washington, where they had a research hospital, and they were going to try and he was a guinea pig, all right. So it's really kind of cool that research hospitals how they will try last ditch efforts, and if the patient doesn't make it, at least they have furthered the research, and so that was something he was interested in doing. It was supposed to take 2 or 3 months, and it drug out to almost 9 months. And it's a situation where he would be better and then he would get worse, and the caregiver and I took turns running back and forth to the hospital to have somebody with him all the time, and we all got very run down, and, he died, and it was just a total shock. I mean, he was only 53. He had been in wonderful health, and now he's gone. So I, had been working part-time, uh in the last stages because we knew at one point he wasn't getting better. So I had not been taking good care of myself, and I picked up a terrible flu that was going around, very much like COVID. And very short order, I found myself in a emergency room. I was put into a drug-induced coma. My family were called out. They said she has about a 38% chance of making it. We just don't know how to treat this. So, boom, there I am at 52 thinking, well, I had no choice. So I said, okay, let's do this. And I asked the doctor about it, what's going to happen? And he says, just don't worry about it. Your brain will go offline. You won't be able to remember anything. Okay. You're just going to be in this deep, 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 deep sleep. So I said goodbye to the folks and my family, and it all, I just went into a coma. And then I woke up. And I thought, wait a minute, what's going on? It's pitch black, no sound. It's like being in a closet or something. And I thought, what in the world? And I was afraid to move because I didn't know if I was laying down or sitting or what. And I thought, well, I'll just hang out. There's nothing really happening. But then it did start to happen. And there was this reddish glow that started. And I thought maybe the sun was coming up and I could see where I was. But then it got really too warm. It started smelling terrible, and I could hear these people moaning and shrieking through this fog. And I thought, what is going on? And all of a sudden, out of this fog came this awful voice and said, do you know where you are? And
What?
I said, hell, what else could I come up with? And then this horrible maniacal laugh happened, scared me, I would say to death, but I was probably already there. And I just turned and ran into the darkness, Cameron. I just didn't know what else to do. I finally got to a point where I just stopped in the dark and waiting. And then what happened was a series of segments. It would be pitch dark, and then all of a sudden these two bright lights would come up, and I would be in a scenario. The first one was a bombed out city. It was like New York with God only knows what had happened there. The buildings were falling over. There were fires. There's people screaming and running in the streets. I'm all of a sudden just in the middle of this, and I thought, wow, So I tried to like tuck myself in between two big old things of concrete that had fallen over, and there was weird people wandering around, and there was mechanical, like I don't like robot things roaming. I thought, holy cow, aliens! What do we got here? And so I thought I'd try and make a run for it. to get away from some of these very bizarre people, and tried to crawl up this big thing full of concrete. And I got almost to the top, and my fingers lost purchase, and I fell backwards in the darkness. And I thought, oh man, this is going to hurt. And then it was just completely dark, and the lights came up, and I'd find myself in a totally different place. So this happened a lot. One particularly surprising one was the lights came up, and I'm looking at some creature's belly, and as I looked up, I thought, "Holy cow, it was like a Bigfoot or something," but it was mean looking, and it had a big stick, and I just froze, and it said, "Do you wanna get out of here?" And I thought, "Gee, that was perfect English." I expected some sort of grunting noise, and I said, "Yes, I do." And he says, "Well, I got a job for you." And I said, "A job?" And he says, "Yeah, I got you. You do one thing for me, I'll see you get out." And I thought, well, what do I got to lose, right? So I said, "Okay, sure." So he waves his arm, and as far as you can see is this jungle of blackberry vines, all twisted and, 10 feet tall, as far as you could see. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And he hands me these little paper cutting scissors they give kids in kindergarten, and says, "Just cut it down, and I'll see you get out." And he kind of chuckled, and I thought, this is a big joke, and it's not funny, you know? So I just thought, what the heck? I got nothing else to do. So I started gnawing on one of these canes. I finally got it to break off, and I thought, good grief. I went to put it behind me, and when I turned back around, the darn thing just grew all the way back. And I looked up at this demon guy, and I just gave him a look, and he just started laughing. He thought that was hysterical. And I thought, you know what? This is weird, and I don't think this is going to work. So I thought, I got nothing else to do. So I started cutting again, and the lights went out. Then the lights came up, and I'm someplace completely different. There was a terrible scene in a hospital. There was a terrible scene on the road. The road, that was when the lights would come up, and it would be dark, but it would be dusk, and there was no moon, no stars, no nothing. It just looked like you were on the moon. It was just this barely rocky thing, but you could tell there was kind of a road, and it went left and right. And at the horizon, there was like glowing things, like a fire maybe coming up over the top of it. And I thought, wow, so I thought, well, I'll just take a right, get on the road. It's got to go somewhere, right? And the good thing about it was when I was on the road, I could turn around and look and see if any, creatures were sneaking up on me and stuff. But it was a long way. And I spent a lot of time just walking, 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 wondering what was going on. How was I going to get out? Where in the heck was I? And then a scene would startle me, and I would have to, try and protect myself, or just survive long enough to find a way out. I did see, which is unusual, two live people in two situations. That's very rare. Generally, if you're having a near-death experience, it's not unusual to see uh, people that have passed. But there's a lady now that's doing a book on people who do see living creep. What happened is when I got back, um, I knew I had to tell these people, I had to give them a message that was just very, very, it was very, I was very sure of that what I had seen, the scenes that they were in were relevant to something that was happening in their lives, and I needed to give them a message so they could make the right decision. I gave the messages to both of these people, which is always interesting to say, I was in hell, I saw you there, and that's a showstopper right there. So it was difficult to get these uh, messages out. The first person, they were both relatives. The first person was freaked out, didn't like the message, didn't like what it was inferring, and we haven't talked in 26 years. So the other person, it took a while
Wow.
to unravel, but that's what the bottom line was. And then the other person was a little distressed when I talked to her about her present relationship situation, and, about a year later, I saw her at a Christmas get-together for the family, and she came up and handed me a glass of wine and says, "Okay, tell me that again." And I did, and she says, "You know what?" She says, I couldn't get that out of my mind, what you told me, and I went ahead and took the chance that what you said was the right thing to do, and I can't tell you how happy I am. I was losing myself, my identity. It was a disaster, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I can't tell you enough. So, 50-50. But then again, on the road, ran into a really nasty group of zombies at one point, was beaten up, molested, whatever. Uh, then got into a situation with some other poor females like myself, and this demon lady led us out through a tundra in a snowstorm. We got to a shack in the middle of freaking nowhere. Cold as hell is a real thing. Uh, and and we got this shack, and we're all shivering, and you're just shell shocked, and just sitting there. And she's okay. Now we wait for customers, and we thought, oh, I thought, oh, how much worse can this possibly be? I'd felt like I'd been there for years, at least 2 years. And she says, oh, well, it's Christmas on Earth. That's always the worst day in hell. And I
Really?
thought, what? What? You don't feel dead, all right? I mean, your spirit is you. So just because you drop the body, the car you drive around in, doesn't mean you're not you. So I thought, I couldn't believe it. Wait a minute. I don't belong here. This isn't right. So I got mad, and I started singing a Christmas carol because I knew it would bug her, and it did. And she told me to shut up. And then some of the other girls, ladies, saw that that was disturbing her. So they joined in. So we're singing Away in a Manger, no crib for his bed, the little Lord, and we got to almost that next word, and she leapt at me screaming, shut up, and I just closed my eyes again. I thought, well, at least I'll get out of here. I don't know where I'm going to go next. But boom, all of a sudden, it's like really different joy, bliss, unexplainable,
Hmm.
complete. You can't explain it. It's ineffable. Fabulous. I'm swirling and this love and it just joy and everything. And then it's kind of settled down a little bit and it's just beautiful. It's all kind of white and sparkly and kind of, I don't know. It's just really hard to explain, but I was just thrilled. I still didn't know what happened to me, but I knew this was good. And I looked up and I saw my friend who just died the month before, and I thought, "Wait a minute, when you die of leukemia, it's not pretty, no hair and you're blotchy and" oh, anyway, he looked great, and he didn't look 30, his age, he looked about 35. He was happy. He was wearing a sweater I gave him for Christmas. I mean, I knew who this was. And he's looking at me and he's kind of chuckling. And I thought, oh, shoot, I don't want to be the one to tell him he's dead, And he starts laughing. And I thought, wait a minute, I didn't say that out loud. Wow, if he's dead, two and two, I'm dead. Oh, wow. Is that the best news ever or what? So I'm saying, why are we standing here? Come on, show me around. He got a little closer and he goes, nah, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. Huh? You know, no, I don't think so. I just said no, 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 no. And then boom, lights went out, lights come up. There's all these people milling around. I'm too hot. I can't move. I'm thinking, oh, what a word I want to use here. I am back in hell. And all of a sudden, this person gets closer to me and says, Mom's back. And I thought, what? And it's my daughter and my mom and dad and they're all screaming and I'm thinking, what's going on? I couldn't react. And they said, "Now, Mom," she says, "you've been in a coma for almost 3 weeks. They told us you probably weren't gonna make it." And my mom says, "Oh, we had this prayer circle going around the world. We brought you back." And I thought, "Oh, you terrible people." Oh, no, just tore me out of heaven. What were you
Oh.
thinking? And I could thank God I couldn't talk. I had the trach and the whole bit. And so I was back. And I'm laying there thinking, you got too much left to do. You can't breathe. You can't move. This is going to be a challenge. And I just want to be back there. I don't want to be here. So I was in the ICU for a month, and then I went to a physical rehab facility for a month because when they checked me out, I could blink and move one finger. So I lost a lot of weight. I was down 86 pounds, so no muscle memory, no muscle mass. And so they had to teach me how to do everything, everything. Walk, crawl, go up steps, button, swallow, everything like a baby, all over again in a month. And then I got to go live with a friend and terribly depressed and terribly confused. And here I'd been this good Catholic girl, and I shouldn't have gone there. And I just didn't get it. And I was homesick. I mean, heaven's home, and you don't want to leave, man. So it took, fast forward, 10 years for me to finally run into this series of synchronicities where the ball started moving. And nobody would listen to my story. And my therapist didn't know what to do with me. I was just a lost soul. And finally, I found myself up in Seattle at an IANS meeting, that's International Association of Near-Death Studies, where there was all these formerly dead people, but they had all gone to heaven, and they got sent back, or some of them. Very few people choose to come back. Usually, just people who've just given birth to a baby or have little ones at home. But they all that was my story. And so I was creeping out of the meetings one time, and a guy came up and says, "Hey, hey, hey, where are you going?" And I says, "This isn't for me." And he says, "Well, what do you mean?" I says, "Well, I didn't have that kind of an experience." He says, "Really?" And I says, "Yeah, yeah, I went to hell." So he's, "Oh, great." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Oh, we never get to hear those stories. And they happen about 20% of the time, but nobody wants to talk about them." I said, "There's a reason for that." We don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's shaming. We don't know what to do with this. And he says, "Well, good. You're going to get up and tell your story." I said, "No, I'm not." He says, "Yeah, you are." So they bullied me into that. There was about 100 people showed up. I was so terrified of telling that story, but I thought, okay, you want to hear the story? I'll give you the damn story. So I'm giving you just highlights, but in the book, it goes blow by blow. I gave him a by blow. At the very end, we're all still stuck in hell. And you could hear a pin drop in that room. I mean, everybody's on the edge of their seat. They were really with me. And finally, when we all got out, I mean, everybody was thrilled. So now we know how to get out. So it went from there to uh, I went to continuing meetings. I heard speakers. It was starting to make a little bit of sense. I became the go-to girl. If somebody came in that was had a distressing aspect, they'd say, "Go get the hell girl." I was the hell girl. Go get the hell girl. She'll help him out. And that led to me going to the IANS conferences. I've been a member now for 15 years. Just got back last week from the last one in Chicago. 800 people, all of them, most of them, 80% of them, had really good experiences or spiritually transformative experiences or something. And there's still our little group. I have a panel now. This is the second or third year we've done that for people interested in the distressing ones. And I had 3 new ladies that had never told their story before. And it's so relieving to be able to get that out and tell it to somebody that will listen to you and not try and tell you what it meant or say you were on the drugs did it or whatever. It's to just accept that that's what happened. And what we've come to understand in my little group, or I know myself, is that we all do come from heaven as souls, come down to earth. We plan our lives, we plan what we want to experience, come with our soulmates, check things out that um, and then we go home, and there is no hell. About 85%, I hate to throw the statistic in, but I have to. About 85% of the people I talk to that have had distressing ones are recovering Catholics. There seems to be a real tie between people who have been raised in a religious environment that says that if you do this, if you do that, or you do the other thing, you're going to hell. And they will tell you with great determination, and they're sure, if you don't follow our rules, you're going to hell. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I believe that I had that so enmeshed in my personality, whatever, that when I had that experience to die, I expected to go to a hell, so I made one. And I took all these terrible things that happened in my life, and it took me years to figure out. I figured them all out. I've had all those things happen to me. I just made it worse. And that I chose to do that too, so that I could come back and say to people, please don't worry about death. Uh, God is all loving, all forgiving. You get a life review. There's no condemnation, there's no judgment. Uh, it's all good. Quit worrying about it. When I got back, I was rather freaked out for quite a long time, and I said to God one time, those thou shalt nots don't work for me, and I need something positive, please. So in a series of weeks, I heard very clearly, okay, Kath, be loving and kind, merciful and forgiving, encouraging, grateful, non-judgmental, and useful. That's it. Can't remember all that. Loving and kind. Got it? So that's the message. That's all you got to do. Uh, it's all good. And I think the things in my life that have given me the most lessons, the most challenging ones, have also brought along an empathy for other people that have the same thing happen to them. I'll use an example. My first baby died when she was 2 days old. She had terrible birth defects, and it was a terrible, terrible loss for me. But after
I'm
that, I
sorry.
had several friends who lost babies, and they would come to me because I knew how they felt. I wasn't somebody to say, "Oh, you'll get over it. You'll have another child." None of that bullshit that they tell people. I could say, "It sucks, right? I miss her." They could say, "Will I ever get over this?" I can say, "No, but you'll learn to live with it." And so it gives people courage that you have gone through something and you can be sympathetic and empathetic and help your fellow man, help people. So I've learned to look at life completely differently. I love going on these podcasts. It's a great way to get the message out, and just tell people, don't worry about it. It's all good.
That's an incredibly positive takeaway from the experience, and I got to imagine you would have better information than me, but I got to imagine a lot of people don't come out of that thinking too positively in the way that you've described. Maybe they enjoyed the experience because they got to visit heaven for a little while, but I would imagine a lot of people carry some sort of guilt or negative thoughts about. Uh, Maybe the better way to put it is you might come out with a little more selfish. You more about let me make my time good rather than what or seem to be pitching, which is let me make everyone else's time good too. Has that maybe been the experience when you've talked to some of the experiencers?
Well, I think we all get PTSD on our therapist charts. She told me that quite clearly. So it's like coming back from a war, maybe. You went there for a good purpose and terrible things happened. But if you were able to do something, some good came out of it, it was worth it. You sacrificed yourself for that. Uh, and then you have an empathy for other people that have gone through it too. Um, I've just chosen to take it as a positive thing. When negative things happen to me now, I can stop and say, I'm not a victim. I chose this. What was trying to learn? What am I going to get out of this? If let me look a little deeper on this. And that's been very helpful. Say, I've been a little I've been judgmental lately. I think this is a good wake up call for me. Um, and again, being able to help others that are afraid to die, their religion tells them, you've done this, you'll never see your loved ones again. I mean, it's not true. So to have somebody look you in the eyes, I've been there, and I know a lot of people who have done this, and you can let it go. It makes a difference.
I wrote down some notes a couple of times while you were talking, and the word I wrote most often was choice. It sounded like you had a choice at almost every turn on either how to address the situation or whether or not you should have been in that situation to begin with. Did you feel when you were in hell like you had a choice to maybe move from scene to scene or end a scene when it was too unbearable, something like that?
Um, y- it didn't feel like it felt it's real. I mean, it wasn't a dream. Uh, it was a manifestation, which is different. I was making it up maybe as I went along. It's hard to determine. It was real at the time. And I kept, I remembered one thing that I was told many, many years ago. The unforgivable sin is to despair. So I was not going to give up. I was a strong person. I'm a survivor. And I thought, this is not going to get the best of me. So I lived my life like that. So when I was there, that was I just had to keep going. I was not going to give up. And that would be, in life or wherever you are, it's just, if you know that this is not really a test here, it's something you chose, and there's a happy ending, uh, just gut it out. Do the best you can, and by being loving and kind, you take the focus off yourself and you put it on somebody else's troubles, pain, situation, and that gives you great courage. It gives you an encouragement to take what you know and what you've got and give it away. I don't know. It changes your whole life when you don't look at me first. You look at you first.
Yeah, that I a little bit of my growth and development lately has been getting rid of my selfishness in a much more basic way than you've had to endure. But it's very interesting trying to like start a family and focus on other people and different things like that, and the feelings of resentment that kind of pop up sometimes when I'm like, what about the me part? Um, it's kind of an awful thing in there. So I'm assuming if I get in a position where I'm given an opportunity to go to hell, I'll probably punish myself because I feel like I've been mean to my family lately, or because I haven't done what I was supposed to do. That's kind of what I was getting at with maybe the choice thing. Do you think people are sent to hell, or you everyone who goes to hell went there for their own personal reasons?
I really don't believe there's a hell. Um,
Okay.
I really don't. God is just all loving and forgiving. That the thing about feeling like you deserve it, I think that's what brings that on. It's you condemning you. But from all the people that I know and I know lots of them who got to stay for a while, they all had life reviews, and it sounds fun. I mean, you get to see a movie, of sorts of the time you conceived all the way to the time you die. You get to watch the whole thing and experience it again. Okay, so you're saying, "Oh, I remember that. That was fun," or "Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. That was kind of me." But the thing is, they turn that baby around, and now you're going to you're gonna experience it as if you were the people that were interacting with you. So let's say you punched your brother in the stomach one time. You're gonna feel that punch and how disappointed he was in you and how hurt he was. Or you turn around and say, okay, that time the little old lady's dog ran off and you found her dog. And oh, you'll feel her joy. So you don't have to punish yourself. You just get to experience how it was because Earth is an experience. It's like a school down here. I've talked to so many people, and it doesn't matter what culture, what religion, they all come back with the same stuff. So the life review is something I'm looking forward to. And yeah, there were times where I was mean and I wish I hadn't done it. And I will get to experience that, not as a punishment, but as an understanding or a karmic thing. You put that out, you want to know what that felt like. You get to feel it. And then that's that. I mean, then you're on to the party, and if you wanna come back, you can. I'm told that there are a lot of places out there in all these universes that you can go, to learn different things, or you can hang out in heaven, there's lots to do there. And we're just eternal souls, we're eternal creatures that not creatures, souls, we're parts of God experiencing God's self by sending little pieces of himself out. It gets a little weird to people, so I kinda try and keep this part short. But
This is the
that's what
part that I'm actually interested in. You're
okay,
piquing
well,
my
if
curiosity here.
you get a chance to go to the conferences that we have, fantastic, all these people with all the degrees in science and all that stuff that have succumbed to understanding this all better. It's a very positive, joyful, great bunch, and the absolute worst part is going home. Nobody wants to leave because you've got that heaven feeling thing going on with the joy and the hugging and the positivity. It's marvelous.
Why are our souls coming here to our earthly plane to begin with if home is so amazing?
I ask that question a lot of people, and they kind of laugh and think, well, we're in this human body right now, so we think like humans with this little tiny human brain. So when you're out of body, when you're in spirit, it all makes sense. It's like we're watching a movie and we don't know the plot, but the guy that wrote it does. Or the people that have seen the movie 4 times know. But I'm told there's like so many souls lined up to come down to Earth. It's the toughest gig. The experiences are extreme. It's like going to a really good amusement park where they got the highest roller coasters and they got the biggest Ferris wheels, and you get on those things and go, I've got to be out of my mind, but I've got to get on this roller coaster, and it scares the crap out of you. So that's how Earth is.
Interesting.
Earth
Interesting.
is the only for the brave souls.
So I was gonna ask if you think it's something like a rite of passage, but it sounds more like you're describing something that is an elected um, experience. Maybe kind of like if you go to a Tony Robbins seminar, only some people will walk barefoot across the coals,
You
and
betcha.
those are the people. Those are the people that come to Earth.
Right. Right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't do the over the coals thing, but I was brave enough to come here.
You
And
mentioned. Sorry. Go ahead.
girl, it's okay.
Oh, so you mentioned that there are other worlds or universes or like kind of things similar to Earth. Is that necessarily other planets that have life forms, or could it be something way out of our ability to comprehend? But it's another version of the cool amusement park that is human life.
That's what people say. I mean, you come down here and you get the mind wipe, right? I mean,
Okay,
again, we got stuffed in these little tiny bodies with the brains, and all we can learn is what's available to our capacity to learn. I mean, the Hubble space thing shows you that there are, with countless universes, countless planets.
right?
So you gotta think there's got to be more than one that's got life forms on it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just a given. Yeah, supposedly there's places to go that aren't as, challenging as this one. Everybody I've talked to that's had this, almost everybody says, "But I'm not doing this one again." That's for sure. You know, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I'm not going back to Earth. You never know. You know, you get on the other side and say, "Wow, that was a wild ride. Maybe just one more time." Who
Have you
knows?
met anyone that can recall an experience in one of these other trials?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You can do
Really?
past life regressions.
Okay.
You get there are people that specialize in this. I've done it a couple times. It's trippy. Yeah, you go it's a hypnotic thing and you get really relaxed and they have you just go back and um you remember stuff. It's interesting. And then you wake up and think, well, right away you kind of say, "Oh no, that wasn't real. That wasn't real." But then you talk to enough people that have, and some of them, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, you can do it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Past life
I've
regression, look it up, Google it.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
My brain tries to synthesize every bit of information I've ever received, and recently I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on something called node theory. Are you familiar with that?
NODE or NOVA?
NODE.
No, haven't.
It actually kind of relates to your near death experiences in a small way, but the node theory is something like there's really only one consciousness, like
Yeah,
one thing that is.
right,
And people, animals, plants, basically everything that experiences is just an interface for gathering information. So if you think about a series of computer nodes, the way that we access the World Wide Web is the knowing, but then each computer web browser is akin to a person,
right,
and what's on the web browser right now is all that that person knows is or whatever, but they have access to everything else and it's all
right.
feeding back.
I like that. Yeah, that fits.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting concept if you think about collective consciousness and some of these
Yeah.
other concepts where I think I read about a test or a study where a mouse that was taught a maze in California.
Mhm.
After it was taught the maze in California, other mice in New York were able to run that maze faster. And it wasn't new mice later down the generations. It was
Right,
already existing mice who
right,
maybe were doing it in 2 minutes before, but after this guy figured it out, suddenly they were doing it in 3.5 minutes. Or
right.
sorry, 1.5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like the, I don't know, 95th monkey or thing that was going around for a while, what that one monkey learned how to do one trick, taught it just to a couple, and it got to a tipping point, and then they all just somehow magically knew how to do it. Yeah, there's a collective consciousness, and that's why I talk to plants. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you talk to a plant and you don't talk to that plant, you can see a difference. It's
Well,
interesting.
I'm finding it very interesting because they're showing through some of these studies that plants respond to sound and light the same way that we do, more or
Mhm.
less. Like obviously, there's some genetic differences, but certain light wavelengths can I don't affect the mood of a plant, kind of.
Yeah.
And they can tell that by like I guess the ways that the plants move, and they're noticing that plants communicate with each other
Oh, yeah.
um, through electrical signals in the roots and stuff. It's
Yeah.
insane
I
what we're
know, but
able
we
to kind of
don't
prove.
know. Well, we don't know. If the more we're open to this sort of thing, the more I guess that will reveal, but
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's why I titled the podcast "I'd like to know more" because that's really every
Mm.
time I hear about something, I'm like, "Wait a minute," and then I type it into my web browser, and then later on, I go on a 14-hour YouTube binge trying to learn everything I can. I'm really like I've heard about near death experiences and I've heard about people seeing the light and coming back and different things like that. Personally, I've never dealt with that, and I don't know anyone who has dealt with it. I know someone who was in a medical coma, but they don't report anything like that. But I have gone under anesthesia for
Uh-huh.
surgery several times, and
Yeah.
I can tell you those are some of the I never wake up upset. I never wake up unhappy. I always wake up, like, in as good a mood as I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
Um, I look forward to it. It is the only way to describe it, and I don't remember any dreams. I don't remember going to heaven or hell or anything like that. I just know that it was a good thing, whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe, like I say, sometimes they take that away from you. They just it's not your time to know that, or that would ruin it if you knew what was really coming. Yeah, that's it. Just gives you a nice feeling that you've been watched over maybe or something.
That actually makes me wonder, so you have a big network of people who have, had these near-death experiences and can remember them, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it takes place in your soul, not in your brain, because your brain's offline.
Okay.
Mhm.
I Is it typical that people who experience a near death experience remember it? Or,
Yeah. They have a Grayson scale. Dr. Grayson made up this scale, and they test you. I can't yeah, Grayson, Greysen, I think. Uh, they ask you a whole bunch of questions, and one of them is, did you see anybody that was dead? You know, can you remember this? Everything that happened. Oh, there's just a whole bunch of them. And I ticked all the boxes. I'd never even heard about all this stuff. I was just told that the distressing ones were very hard to integrate because there's not a lot of people that would talk about them. There was only 3 or 4 books I could find, and, Nancy Evans Bush was one of them, and I've got to meet her several times, and she put the foreword to my book. She's like my patron saint. Um, but she was a PhD or whatever, and she woke up in the void and just was told that, she never lived. Her children never lived. There was nothing. That was all a joke. There was nothing but this blackness, and that's all she was gonna experience for eternity. She was freaking out, and,
what?
yeah, it was yeah, it's the distressing ones, they mess with you. They mess with you. But you get back and you talk to other people about it and you go, wait a minute, that's what happened. I believed that there would, an atheist or something think there's nothing. Okay, let's see what nothing looks like. Uh, because there is no nothing. There's always something. Yeah, when you talk to all these different people all over the world, and it's amazing that there's the similarities, and it changes you because you come back a totally different person, and the divorce rate's really high when you get back, and
I can imagine.
most of us drop religions. We go to the spiritual, not religious group. Um, Anything that's negative, we don't we discount it. It's God is not negative. There's no room. God is love. Period. It's just you're not afraid to die. You wanna get everything done so you can go back. That's I've been 26 years. I thought, "Oh my god, my mom's 98, she's still around. My dad was 97," I'm thinking, I still got all these years to go." But, you make the most of it, you're down here
Right.
for a purpose. When you chose your purposes, when you get them done, you get to go home. So, that's why I'm still
So the purpose is pre-planned before you're born?
yeah, you do it.
Well, interesting.
Yeah,
But you don't get to know it. You just get surprised because you get to go
No.
home once you've
Well,
completed?
you know it because I guess I guess it's kinda detailed. I mean, you wanna do this and integrate it with the other soul friends that wanna go down, and then I don't know, I'm making this word up, but a committee that says, "Yeah, well, that'll work," or, "No, we have to change this over here because over there, that'll screw that up." So it is it's organized, and then
Okay.
you get sucked down and sit down into this one little tiny cell. And then, I think it's fun too. They say when babies are born, part of the reason they cry when they're born is it's like, "Oh shit, what have I done?" I mean,
Okay.
Forgot how awful this can be, all squeezed in, being born again. And, but if you it's interesting if you see a young child, from baby to maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years old in the mall, whatever, if you look at that child and they're looking around like this and you make that look like and I see you, is what I say in my mind. I see you. I see that soul in there, and they'll stop and they'll get a little smile and they'll stare at you back and then they're back to doing what they were. They'll say hi.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. They still
Reminds me
can
of
remember where they came from. They can't talk yet.
it reminds me a little bit of the movie from I think it might have been the late 90s, early 2000s, Baby Geniuses.
Oh,
Do you remember that
wow.
movie?
No, I didn't see it. I'll have to do that.
Oh, the premise is that babies are born with the knowledge, like all the knowledge. But then around the time you start talking, the world, however it works, takes
Yeah,
away your knowledge and you kind of have to start over. I don't think that there was an overarching theme of reincarnation or anything, but
yeah.
so functionally it's like a spy thriller movie, but babies, literal babies are the spies who are saving the day, fighting
Oh,
crime and other fun stuff.
oh, how that is a fun one. Yeah,
Really
yeah,
interesting, and that's like another one that has to be synthesized in my brain because if what you're saying is, indisputably true, then we have to come with some level of knowledge, and maybe that just explains instincts or something like
yeah.
that. But I wonder if there's more.
Well, the fun one too is, the soulmate things. There's lots of them, and, you can reincarnate in several times, and sometimes you'll be a pivotal person in that person's life, and sometimes just a next door neighbor, or you meet in a mall. But the thing is, when you run into somebody at a party, whatever, and you go, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" Have you ever had that happen? Somebody says, "I
Okay,
know you from somewhere. Now, do you go to this church or do you go to this bank?" "No." "Well, I know you from you're just so familiar." And they say, "Well, yeah, yeah, we must have met." And that's one of your soulmates. And you're just linking up, just sometimes just once or twice. I believe that every time I'm on a podcast, I'm your soulmate. We plan this. This time we say, I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to be doing this and this, but we'll check in for an hour. Okay. That'll be fun. And then here we are
so soulmates are not just your, I guess, procreational lover, but it's your friends and family from
from
outside of Earth.
eternity, from eternity. Yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So
And sometimes
familiar
you really
face
involve
syndrome makes more
you're
sense
a
now.
husband, wife, or you're a kid, if they're a father, and other times is casual. But we're all part of the same being, we're all related. And that's another cool thing about losing any discrimination or any of that kind of stuff, because you just see people as a soul, and all our souls look exactly alike, and we've got a human costume on. We're just in a costume party, and this time I'm white, and next time I'll be black, and next time I'll be Martian, whatever, but that same soul they're all alike. They all look alike.
You don't think there's some type of team sport prejudice in the land where the souls come from?
No.
No.
Because it's all part of God, and God can't be jealous of God.
All
Uh,
right.
it's, uh that's what's fun, the contrast. Earth has got a lot of contrast, and that's what makes it interesting.
That is interesting. Are when you talk to other near death experiencers, I want to say this in a way that makes sense. Uh, Do, are you going to the same places? Are you seeing the same scenes? Or is it very individualized?
Depends on where you are. When you first get there, it's like being introduced at the party. That's overwhelming. The people that get to stay there, well, most of them don't. Most of them come back or they wouldn't be here. They wanna stay. Most people wanna stay. But like I say, sometimes I knew a lady, she just gave birth to a baby, and she did not wanna leave that baby, so she was going back, thank you very much. They had to kick me out. I mean, I went kicking and screaming, I did not wanna go back. Um, I've forgotten your question, but it's just, it's I don't know, you're home, but you wanna go have fun too, or you wanna go have the experience, you wanna go to the amusement park and your friends are going and, oh, you just it's gonna be scary sometimes, you might get hurt, but it's also gonna be exhilarating and you'll be with your friends, so it's all good, you help each
Interesting.
other.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of wonder because we think on Earth and in our human forms a whole lot about, not just is heaven real, but in reality, we're arguing about which heaven is real. Because even if we are all, I guess, using the word heaven, however it's pronounced in your language, um, we definitely in our brains are thinking of a slightly different thing. The Christian heaven may not be the same as the Muslim heaven. And even if you go beyond that to other more polytheistic, especially ancient religions and different things, their concepts are different, and they're almost like, imagine maybe it's a different place. The Vikings, when they go to Valhalla, maybe they don't have access to the Christian heaven, and that just blows me away because maybe there's even like intermediary steps. So where you went might not even be actually the most origination point for a soul. You may have only gone to like level 3 and Earth is level 4, and you got to make your way back to level 1. There's so much fun to think about these kinds of things. But so that's why I wonder if the people you talk to, because they're the only people who've done it, if they have been to the same place, if like you walked through the same door into the same foyer, that kind of.
Well, it's just like there is no door, there is no foyer, it's just love.
Okay,
It's
fair.
just joy, it's home, there's other beings that you recognize, um, I guess if you stay, it's different. I'm sure I was told like schools or colleges or experiences you can go to different planets, places, it's eternal. It's we can't imagine how big it is, and being a soul is so much freer than being a human that has to get in a car or take a plane someplace. I mean, you just go. You think
Mm.
about it, or you just go. But it is funny, people from India or wherever they don't see the heaven that they were taught.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's it's like something you've never experienced in as a human, so you can't conceive of what it's like. We can only say, even, when Jesus was talking in the Bible, he would always say, heaven is like this, heaven is like that, because there's no words for what it actually is in the
Okay.
human language. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
indescribable. It's just awesome. Awesome, awesome.
Do you think dreams are glimpses into those worlds, into the home or into the hell or anything like that?
There's a difference between visions and dreams, I think. Dreams are
Okay.
just dreams. Your mind, shuffling things around, but you can have visions, I think, in meditations sometimes. Some particular kinds of drugs will put you in that state. It's a state, it's not a place. It's a state of being that
Interesting.
we can't experience because we're locked into this. Where everything is just to be totally free, you have to experience it.
Have
Uh,
you ever tried to, revisit either heaven or
mm,
hell?
I wouldn't wanna go there isn't a hell. I can make another one. I make a doozy of a hell. But I don't know. I stay away from anything on TV, radio, news, anything that has to do with horror or torture or anything nasty like that. I mean, negative energy exists, but it's not something, it's it's energy that decided they don't want to be with joy and bliss for whatever reason. But God didn't create it, but free will is number one. We all have free will, it's never taken away. So you can choose to make a hell. You can choose to find negative energy and go hang out with it, but nobody can make you go there. God doesn't make you go there. But that's a choice. You've always got free will. If you want to do that, nobody's going to stop you. But I choose not to think about it because it's powerful stuff. And I don't want to have anything to do with it ever again, ever, if I can help.
Interesting. So I guess heaven or hell could be like states of mind in one way or another. And some of our more negative experiences on earth, and some people who've had the most negative experiences, that's, I guess, the term your own personal hell has a little bit more weight to it when you're thinking of it from that angle.
Yeah, we've always got the choice to be b- evil, to do evil or to do good. That's why we're here. We have a choice and a freedom to do that. And some souls may just want to say, I want to see what that feels like. I want to see what that feels like to have that power and all that. But then in the life review, they get to understand how that felt. So people like Hitler, he's probably halfway through the life review. If he gets to experience every bit of horror and sadness and fear that he inflicted on other souls, he gets to experience that. Now, thank you, no, I don't want to get in that column.
I wanted to ask about that, and then we kind of moved away from it. You talked about the life review where you experience it from the point of view of the people you affected. Are you seeing you do the things?
I wasn't there long enough to get a life review, but
Okay.
many, 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 many people that I know that did said wasn't harrowing at all. I mean, they just literally it was like watching a movie uh, on a big screen, but you were the star, you were the person in the movie, and so from the time you were conceived to the time you die, um, you get to experience your life again. There's no time up there. It's always now. So I can't say it would take 45 minutes to do because you just experience it all at once. It's hard to explain. But you get to just experience it. Like we'll go through this segment here where we were talking, and we'll remember that and as a pleasant experience. And then there's times where you're in traffic and you're laying on the horn. This poor old lady in the in front of you just has a heart attack, and I mean, you get karma is a real thing. You get to feel what you put out. So that's why the loving and kind thing is so important. I mean, to tell you, I bend over backwards. I mean, there's situations that, we all run into where we could really lose our tempers and really say some mean things and do some bad things. And I really have to rein myself in and say loving and kind, loving and kind, loving and kind in those situations till I can get past them because I don't want any of that in my life review. I want it to look really nice and clean. The lesson from my 53rd birthday forward. Yeah. And that's contagious, Cameron, too. When you're in a situation like that, whether they're talking about Democrats and Republicans, whatever it is, and it's getting heated, just a little bit of your own kindness coming through, uh, kind of is like, bread on the waters. It settles things down. People lighten up. Okay, let's talk about something else. You can be a catalyst in so many ways just by being kind. It's just, phenomenal. I love it when I see that happen. It's a real thing.
All right. So you're on a mission to spread love and kindness as the most important things in the world. How are you spreading that mission?
Well, let's see, I'll give you a little example. I joined a senior center here in town about 2 years ago, and when I first went in, I you get the voice, you hear the voice, that's just what happens, and so sometimes, you're directed. It's your conscience, part of your angels, whatever. So I was told, You need to go to the senior center. You gotta go to the senior center." "What the hell's a senior center?" So, anyway, I show up down there, and there's not too many people in there. There's a couple of guys arguing over there and somebody sitting by theirself over there, and I asked the lady I walked in, and, she says, "What do you want?" Well, that's welcoming.
Right?
I asked, "Hello." I says, "I was told to come here." And she says, "Why?" And I said, "I'm to help out. I need to help." And she says, "Fine. See those 2 guys arguing over there? Break them up." And I said, "Oh, okay." Here I am, this little old lady. I go sit down, and they're going back and forth. I don't, and then they kinda look at me, and I just sat down there, I'm just kinda looking, and they, like, "Who are you, and what do you want?" So that 2 years later, things have changed. Uh, we've got a hugging thing going on. We've got, more people there. The gal that had run the place pulled me aside the other day and said, ever since you got here, things have really changed. There's just everybody's friendly. They're getting along." And she said, I just can't believe. I just want to say thanks. I'm so glad you showed up." So there. That's a little tiny bunch of people, but it works. And you don't do it because, I don't know, you do it because it works and it feels good. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And your life will be better for it too if you've got loving, kind people around you. It's fun. It's fun to see it morph like that.
I agree. That's a wonderful message, and I'm glad there are people out there like you that are trying to effectuate love and kindness on the world. Uh, in my day job, I'm a lawyer, and it is not a love and kindness sport. Um, I very much enjoy it though, which makes me part of the problem. So,
My dad was a lawyer. Yes, okay.
oh, I see, I see. That's why you ended up in hell. Um, well, uh, anything else you want to talk about? Do you have anything to promote before we part ways?
Oh, I got the book. It's called Misfit in Hell to Heaven Expat. Misfit in hell because I wouldn't do what they told me to. Having expats kind of interesting. An expatriate's somebody that lives in one country and they go do their work in another country, and when they're there, they're expats, and then they go home. Well, we're all heaven expats. We all start in heaven, come down here, do our work, and go home. So that's what that's all about. It's on
Very interesting.
Amazon. Yeah, it's cool. I just got it translated into Spanish too. One of the people in the group, was doing that. So that's fun. That'll take the message, to more of my Catholic friends.
All right. And are you doing work with the was it the IANDE?
NDS.
NDS.
IANDS, yeah, if you go to ians.org, I have a sharing group, 3rd Thursday of the month for people who are interested in distressing NDEs or have had them themselves, and we have a great time. It's very positive, and then IANS has got so much information for anybody that's interested in any NDEs, STEs, OBs. We got all the alphabets covered, and it's free, and it's just great fun, positive people. I totally recommend it. And thank you
Awesome.
for having me on your show, and good luck with your program, and good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And if you ever have any reason to come back on, let me know.
Okay.
I'll make
Thanks.
sure all your links are in the description wherever this gets posted. And,
Okay.
I hope you succeed in your mission in tricking everyone into being kind.
Thanks, Cameron.
All right. Bye.
Bye.